of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
President Trump wants to streamline the regulation process for artificial intelligence and powering artificial intelligence. That's one of the topics we want to discuss tonight with Energy Secretary Chris Wright. Mr. Secretary, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, Brett.
So about powering AI, it's one of the questions that comes up all the time as we see the expansion and what exactly is going to happen. What is needed and what did today do towards that goal?
With this pen today, President Trump signed an historic mission. This is reminiscent of the Manhattan Project that brought World War II to an early and successful end, similar to the Apollo projects that put a man on the moon in 1969. This is an all-in national effort to take the power of AI and pair it with the 40,000 outstanding scientists and engineers at our national labs to use the world's largest supercomputers to advance innovation and science, to fix our rising energy costs, to give better economic opportunities for our citizens, to make longer and healthier lives possible. Today was not incremental, Brett. It was transformative.
So it's like a moonshot for energy to be able to power the things that we think we're going to do with AI.
The project today, well, energy, of course, is one of the great things we'll get out of it. But the project announced today is really about applying AI to science and to engineering and to national security. What we've seen so far is AI applied to language, to search the internet, to find things, to make businesses more efficient or deliver consumer services. This is to pivot over and use that same power, but to use the incredible data sets from our national labs to actually advance scientific progress, scientific discovery, engineering, solve the problem of our electricity grid, a creaky old system that's unstable and has become more expensive. We've got to use smarter science, smarter technology to advance things that better American lives. Yes, we need energy to do that, but that's just one of the enablers of AI. What President Trump signed today, launching this Genesis mission, is going to bring together industry, the national labs, data sets, all tied together in a closed-loop system to just rapidly advance the pace of scientific and engineering progress. It will be transformative.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. What you just heard is the Genesis mission that Donald Trump has announced in regards to building out more artificial intelligence, expanding as fast as they can, and this specifically being in the scientific research department. This is important to pay attention to. I've talked about the Stargate project. We all know about how they're building out these data centers under different bills, the big, beautiful bill, the Project Stargate bill that they passed on day one. Those are all about building out the data centers and the surveillance state, where all of your information, everything is going to be stored inside of these massive data centers that they're actually building out as we speak. This is important to pay attention to because this is about the biotech aspect of the AI build out, which is why, of course, Donald Trump decided to call it the Genesis mission, but he really should be calling it the eugenics mission. And why did he pick the word Genesis? Well, of course he did, to invoke the Bible. Because Christians will hear this and they'll think, oh, he's talking about the book of Genesis. He's talking about the story of creation. It's symbolic. Just as Genesis describes the beginning of the universe, this mission is the beginning of a new era of AI-driven scientific creation and discovery. But really what it is it's the beginning of what they're trying to do, which is edit human beings' genetic code in the name of science, health, living longer, curing cancer, all these deceptions that they're doing, which are really just all shielded by the terms science and artificial intelligence infrastructure. This is about eugenics, and this is about them playing God, which is why they're using the term Genesis, because when they move forward with the removal of Big Pharma, which is eventually going to happen in the next decade, Big Pharma is going to be replaced with mRNA vaccines and gene editing. And gene editing is about editing your genetic code, which is another way of just saying eugenics, okay? So if you look through the document published, you can go find yourself on the White House's webpage, the launching of the Genesis mission. All people hear when they listen to those guys talk on TV is about the energy aspect of this, which is important, which is going to play into climate change. When they tell us that we need to ration water, we need to ration electricity for these data centers, they're going to tell you it's all because of climate change that we're doing the rationing, but it's really because of these data centers. These data centers are going to run on such a massive amount of energy that we're going to be forced to ration, but they're going to tell you that it's all for climate change and it's all for us doing what's best for the environment so that they can have our enslavement grid running and operational 24/7 without any hiccups. So again, we all know about the surveillance state coming in with the data centers. We all know about the resources they're going to use, but this specific Genesis mission, if you read between the lines, they talk about advancing manufacturing, critical materials, nuclear fusion, fusion energy. These are all things they know the common person doesn't understand. But if you look closely, you'll see biotechnology right there, front and center. Trump's Genesis mission and personalized vaccines for gene editing. The Genesis mission has a significant focus on biotech, including gene editing and personalized medicine approaches like customized vaccines, though it's not the sole emphasis. The mission is broader, aiming to accelerate AI-driven scientific discovery across fields like energy, materials, and national security. But biotech, including protein modeling and genomic analysis, is explicitly called out as a priority area. Personalized vaccines and gene editing align with its goals for rapid, tailored medical breakthroughs such as AI-optimized mRNA therapies or CRISPR-based treatments. This is about gene editing and CRISPR technology, which will alter what it means to be a human. Don't forget that. AI gene editing synergy. The mission explicitly calls for AI to revolutionize biotech, including CRISPR-like tools for protein design and genomic editing. Experts like Jennifer Doudna of CRISPR have said AI could have an immediate impact on drug discovery by identifying targets 10 times faster. This could bypass Big Pharma's slow, costly R&D, which is part of the reason you're seeing these psyops surrounding United Healthcare, how expensive healthcare is, how people can't afford healthcare, how corrupt it is, how Big Pharma is corrupt. They're trying to build that up in your eyes so that you accept what's coming next, which are personalized vaccines and a shift towards gene editing and mRNA. So in other words, the more you start hating Big Pharma, which you already should, we all know pharma magic, we all know how dangerous pharma is, they're going to convince you that what is needed, what the best solution is, what will be free, which will be cheap, all this other stuff that they're going to get into your head for you to accept this. They're going to tell you it's a one-off deal. You got cancer, all you need is a personalized, customized mRNA vaccine to edit your specific genes and your specific genome, and you'll be cancer-free. You got a thyroid problem? Oh, all it'll take is one of these shots. Oh, you got diabetes? All it'll take is one of these shots. And what they're really doing is getting these personalized nanotechnology transhumanist shots inside of your body. Remember, when I talked about Epstein and I talked about all the people that surround Jeffrey Epstein's life, their obsession was more than just being involved with children and a lust for children. Their obsession is eugenics. Eugenics is gene editing. So when you hear them talk about gene editing, they'll try to say, well, gene editing technology like CRISPR, they're not, it's not eugenics. It is eugenics. It offers the ability to modify or correct specific regions of DNA to potentially treat or prevent diseases, okay? Remember this clip I played for you about their obsession with creating the perfect hybrid human race.
They embraced a new pseudoscience born in Britain called eugenics, which falsely claimed, with no evidence, that everything from poverty to prostitution, disabilities to what they called feeble-mindedness, could be eliminated if the individuals they dismissed as socially defective could be stopped from reproducing.
I wish very much that the wrong people could be prevented entirely from breeding. And when the evil nature of these people is sufficiently flagrant, this should be done. Criminals should be sterilized, and feeble-minded persons forbidden to leave offspring behind them. Theodore Roosevelt.
The idea was that the bad people have to stop reproducing, and the good people need to reproduce more. Negative eugenics says sterilize the wrong people, snuff them out. And that's the eugenics that the Nazis would pick up on.
Colleges and universities taught eugenics. Medical societies confirmed it. Clergymen preached it. John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie funded it. And some of the most prominent people in America championed it. Margaret Sanger, Alexander Graham Bell, even Helen Keller.
It seems to me that the simplest, wisest thing to do would be to submit cases like that of the malformed idiot baby to a jury of expert physicians. If the evidence were presented openly and the decisions made public before the death of the child, there would be little danger of mistakes or abuses. We must decide between a fine humanity and a cowardly sentimentalism.
33 of the 48 states would eventually enact eugenics laws mandating the forced sterilization of wards of the state deemed physically or mentally unfit. People in prisons, hospitals, and asylums. More than 60,000 Americans would be sterilized without their consent before the last of these statutes was removed from the books in 2014.
That's what this is about. So this is the biotech aspect of artificial intelligence and the build out of artificial intelligence. This is about every person having their own, the data on every single person, okay? So all the data on you and your own file, everything about your blood tests, all the blood work you've ever had done, every disease you've ever had, whether you went to the doctor for the common cold, or you have sleep apnea, or you have a low thyroid, or high blood pressure, or high glucose, whatever it is, all into these data centers so they can develop unique, specific vaccines for you to edit you. Remember on day one, Donald Trump talked about curing cancer. This is a common thing we saw with Joe Biden. Joe Biden talked about his first day in office, about how they're going to cure cancer. Obama talked about it. Trump talked about it. Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle, was on the stage talking about the Stargate investment and talking about, on day one of Donald Trump being the president for his second term, talking about personalized cancer vaccines for you, because they've been trying to get these personalized nanotechnology, gene editing vaccines in all of us. And we saw how the last operation went, where people refused to get it for COVID. Well, this time around, they're going to do things like tell you that they can cure cancer so that you'll be willing to take these personalized vaccines inside your body.
One of the most exciting things we're working on, using the tools that Sam and Masa are providing, is a cancer vaccine. It's very interesting. It turns out, I'll be quick, all of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do it using AI, you can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using AI to look at the blood test, you can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person. So we can, again, cancer diagnosis using AI has the promise of just being a simple blood test. Then beyond that, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that vaccine, that mRNA vaccine, you can make that robotically, again, using AI in about 48 hours. So imagine early cancer detection, the development of a cancer vaccine for your particular cancer aimed at you, and have that vaccine available in 48 hours. This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
So that's why they're calling it the Genesis mission, because they're trying to play God, and that's what they've always tried to do. And now they want to play God with their nanotechnology and their gene editing vaccines, where they could take you and manipulate the one unique thing that you have, which is your own genetic code, your own DNA. That's what we all have, right? I always use the example of these crime shows. You always hear, we can't find the person. There's a cold case over 50 years. Now they do this DNA testing, right? And they can find the one person who maybe was never even a suspect, who was driving through on a truck and decided to commit a murder and lived 5,000 miles away, all the way in another country perhaps. They could find his specific DNA in a system, right? Because it was his own unique one, different than yours, different than mine. They want to control that. That goes back to that clip I just showed you of eugenics and creating a specific race that they believe of pure human beings who have their genetic code altered by them playing God. And the other thing, again, that you heard in the earlier clip that I played for you was about the Department of Energy. Okay, the Department of Energy is going to be responsible for everything moving forward in regards to having enough energy for these data centers. They're not telling you yet about how you're going to ration energy because they know that people will protest it. They know you'll show up in your township and you'll say, we don't want these data centers here. I'm not rationing my electricity. I'm not rationing my water. I'm not going to take less showers. I'm not going to not water my plants or water my grass or whatever people normally do. So you could put in a data center. So they're not going to tell you that. Of course, they're not going to tell you that. Just like when they were telling you to take the COVID vaccine, they weren't going to tell you that they were going to kill you with the COVID vaccine or make whatever, emphasize whatever disease you already had and make it worse. Or, just put nanotech in your body. They were going to come out and say it, even though people like Lady Gaga and all these celebrities were telling you about the black goo and how that was exactly what the transformation was for you to go and get vaccinated. They're not going to tell you what they're ultimately going to do to you because the people would rise up against it. They're not telling you that the data centers are for a surveillance state and a surveillance grid. They're not going to tell you that all your personal data is going to be stored in there, including every text you send, every picture you take on your phone. It's going to go into these neoclouds and stored forever for them to use. Because they're not going to tell you that. Because everybody finds out that, then everybody fights back because people go, you're not doing that. I don't trust you. I don't trust Trump. I don't trust you people to have that information. They're just trying to get it built out. Because once it's built out, then they've got it in place and they can move forward with it. They can put whatever dictator they want in charge, whether it's Trump. They can put whatever psychopath they want in charge, like Gavin Newsom. And they can say, look, the data centers are built out. This is what we're going to do with the data centers. This is what we're going to do with free speech. You texted this in the past, that's hate speech. You wrote that in an email, that's hate speech. You posted that on Facebook, that's hate speech. We're going to go back and look through your history. Then we're going to prosecute you unless you change your behavior and follow the way that we tell you that you need to live. And the Department of Energy is going to be front and center. Because what most people don't know, they hear Department of Energy, like, oh, Department of Energy, what do they do? Well, they work directly with Google, Meta, Oracle, Microsoft, Amazon, you name it, they work directly with them, just like DARPA works directly with them. So those are the people that we're supposed to trust in building out our enslavement. Big tech working directly with government agencies, nobody suspicious, right? And that's why I've talked about over the years how they do these fake little things in the Senate during the year, like they'll have Mark Zuckerberg show up and they'll pretend like, are you taking people's data? And Zuckerberg, we're not. No, you're taking people's free speech, Google. Oh, we'll change it, right? They wanted to make it seem like big tech isn't already a part of the government because it's a branch of DARPA. It's a branch of the Department of Energy, right? Tesla's a branch of the Department of Energy. You can look it up yourself. They're directly connected to one another. They want you to think they're independent companies, and then they want to act every couple of months when they bring them into Congress, like your Congress is looking out for your best interest by yelling at Mark Zuckerberg, and then nothing happens. By yelling at Jeff Bezos, and then nothing happens. By yelling at the CEO of Google, and then nothing happens, right? Because it's an illusion that your government isn't in bed with big tech, building out the surveillance state and the surveillance grid, so to speak. So this is what we have going on right now, right? This is going to, not only this inside of this bill, if you read directly, is it biotech? It's talking about the building out of everything becoming autonomous. Autonomous cars, autonomous planes, everything, so that you're not needed anymore. So then they could bring in universal basic income as well. But they need all this build out with AI. And they distract you with things, pretending like they're going to give you Epstein lists that they create, that they make up themselves. You're supposed to trust what they give you, while they're passing all these bills that we're funding with our tax money to make these data centers, right? And then they're coming out with other bills. We have Stargate. We have the big, beautiful bill. Now we have the Genesis mission. And people are like, oh, Genesis. They think of the Bible, and they don't realize, yeah, they're calling it the Genesis mission because biotech is literally going to be involved. And this is about them playing God. Because it's about biotech is about gene editing, and it's about eugenics, and it's about them editing your genetic code, which is why they're calling it the Genesis mission. But everyone will say that's not why Trump's doing it. That's not why he's calling it that, because none of the people understand what's actually happening around them. But that's what's happening. So the Genesis mission right in front of your face is all about the building out of the biotech aspect of artificial intelligence, which people will hear and they'll go, oh, all it means is that AI is going to, learn some things. What? Huh? Does it mean that all your personal health information is going to go into this one huge data center? Yeah. Does it mean that they're going to have access to all of your blood tests that you've ever taken in your life? Yeah. Does it also mean that they're going to begin rolling out personalized custom vaccines that people are going to take? They're going to put propaganda out there and tell you, so-and-so is cured by cancer with their customized, personalized vaccine. And I talked about this for years. They'll have a celebrity front and center. I think it's still going to be what's her name? Princess Kate or somebody like that, who's going to get one of these personalized vaccines. They'll make it seem like they're sicker than they are. They're close to death, but they're going to try out one of these personalized cancer-curing vaccines, and it's going to cure them. And then they'll continue from there with other celebrities who will pretend that they have cancer. And then it'll get into people's minds that this is the cure. We finally have the cure. And wait, we could do other things with personalized vaccines. Oh, I can cure my diabetes. I can cure my thyroid, so I don't have to take pills every day, and my blood pressure and all this other stuff. And they will get this nanotech inside of people's bodies. And this, of course, is what it's been about since day one. The Internet of Bodies getting underneath your skin. So Donald Trump and the Genesis mission, ladies and gentlemen, nobody will blink at it, because what they'll think of is about, artificial intelligence. I could type something into the computer and it can give me an answer. They don't realize what's really going on, because they're not telling them what's in the data center. They're not telling them about the surveillance state. They're not telling them about mRNA and eugenics. And they know that nobody's going to ask questions. They're just going to continue to text on their phone day in and day out while they build out our enslavement grid. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.